is no longer going to have the contract for £100 million or whatever it was, and is going to also jeopardize the Saudi-British relationship. So, you know what, last question. We can be here forever talking about our double standard and hypocrisy when it comes to foreign policies. And we are sick and tired of it to the core. And I've told the government, I've told the Prime Minister, I've told many advisors to the government, let us change our foreign policy, the world will become a better place. So that's a quick answer. The question that earlier on my sister here raised about the state's role in educating our young children about the true nature of Islam. I don't think we should wait for the state to teach. What about our mosques to teach? What about our imams to take that role? What about upskilling our imams to have the capacity to be able to relate to our young people in that way? What about us as parents? I've got 2 kids. I teach them Quran, I teach them Islam, I teach them philosophy, I teach them languages, I teach them Charles Dickens, I teach them literature. I teach them everything that I can, everything that I know, I'm teaching my children. Our children, 2 of them, we homeschool them. They speak 5 languages, alhamdulillah, already. And we hope that they will learn more and become experts on a particular field that they enjoy. Parents have the biggest role in teaching what I call the most important skill and skill set. And I believe many parents are too busy just earning a living and not focusing enough on children. So home, schools, mosques, communities must all come together to teach. State has a responsibility to create an inclusive curriculum. An inclusive curriculum. And it's something that is missing from our narrative right now. In our history books, we don't talk about how Ibn Rushd actually translated Plato's book. We don't talk about how Ibn Sina is the father of medicine. We don't talk about how Muslims have contributed to maths, algebra, and many other disciplines. We don't teach our children that. We don't teach our non-Muslim friends that, because it will change the reality of the current discourse. So we need to create, through lobbying, through pressure group, through working with the government, by political engagement, a process of creating a new syllabus which becomes inclusive syllabus. And the last is about blood and violence that you have talked about, some people find in the Quran. Well, look, the Arabic word Arabic word used for violence is what? What's the Arabic word for violence? Huh? Udwan. Violence, Udwan is enmity. Unf. How many times do you find unf in the Quran? 0. Hold on. I'm sorry, what did you just say? Arabic word for violence is unf. And it never appears in the Quran. So where do people find violence in the Quran? I mean, I don't want to go on and on about it. I'm just giving you examples of what I believe. Authentic approach to Quran and inauthentic approach to Quran. I want to be the one to be saying authentic stuff. I don't want to make up stories as I go along. Because somebody will correct me one day. Somebody will say you are wrong, you're just making it up. Go back to the Quran, to the resources. I believe there are no words that in the Quran appears that promotes violence. There is a verse, there are verses that talk about war. Yes, it does. But war has a context. It's got parameters, rules of engagement, clear rulings. You can't violate them. So I would say, challenge those people to give us the evidence, because I haven't seen one in the Quran. Maybe they're reading the different Quran. But then there are no different Quran. There is only one Quran across the globe, wherever you go. So finally to say, we have diversity within Muslims, I know. We have diversity in our understanding, of course I agree. We have diversity in our approach, definitely. But the good thing about Islam is the reference point is the same, it's identical. It's called the Quran. Thank you very much.
Thank you. As always, when discussions start going, we need to come to a close. I will challenge the panelists to share just very, very briefly some thoughts in conclusion. And Imam Masroor will get the last word, and the question specifically to you then, after the 2 others have spoken, is, we started with fear, Islamophobia. What is the one sentence you want to say to a young Christian or secular European who fears Islam today? And what is the one sentence you want to say to a young Muslim who is finding his or her place in Europe today? That is your question, but first I'll give the floor to just a few sentences from Linda before Espen, and then we close.
I think this debate shows that our main challenge among Muslims is to have a version of a modern Islam. I think the so-called mainstream Islam is still dominated by principles and values that are not something that we can build on. I see Islam as a progressive force and not the force that are going to, drive us back to the early ages of a totally other time and space. So I think that's our main challenge. We have to kind of find a platform, and unfortunately today I don't think, because of the political climate in Europe is so hard against Muslims, and that you will face all this kind of skepticism and even hate. This is a very hard context to do this kind of reform. So I think that's the biggest challenge we have, and I think that's what we have to focus on in the time coming.
Thank you. Espen.
Well, it's been really interesting for me, getting to know much more about kind of Muslim thinking that I was not that familiar with, and that does not appear so much in the normal Norwegian newspaper when they talk about how Muslims normally think. It's been interesting. The Imam has talked a lot about what is common between European values and Muslim values, and that's been really interesting. What could be a topic probably for the next debate and not for the last minutes, it's about what he would think is the main problematic parts maybe of European values and his thinking about Islam. But maybe that will have to wait.
Thank you. We'll invite Imam Masroor back to discuss that topic at a later meeting here at Litteraturhuset. Your two sentences, one for young Muslims and one for young Christians.
I have one sentence for all actually. Don't fear Islam and don't despair about Muslims. Try Islam, you may like it.
Thank you.
So I say this again, try Islam, you may like it. I have a card over there, and I want to tell you this. A few of my friends have been thinking about the depiction of Islam in the media for too long. It's negative, it's disgusting in some ways, it's constantly the same old, terrorism. I'm sick and tired of it. So we've gone ahead and established a new platform for positive, uplifting, celebratory, art and culturally driven TV program, a platform. It's the Netflix of the Muslim variety, and better. And we have just launched it, or it's gone live, it's online. Go and watch it, check it out. It's called alchemia.com, alchemiya.com. It would be very useful for people to see and give us feedback. It's English medium. It's the best quality content that Muslims could buy, make and put together. That's what we're trying to do. That's become my full-time job. There are some cards here if you want to take it. So, to finish off, watch Islam in color, alchemia.com.
Thank you. And thank you for taking us to this optimistic end of a discussion that has brought up quite a number of challenges, but also a lot of optimism and belief that the challenges that are facing Europe can be handled if we cooperate and work together. So I'd simply like to thank all of our panelists. Thank you, Imam Masroor, for taking the time to travel from a busy London life and share with us here in Norway, and specifically here at Litteraturhuset tonight. And to the two, or really the three other respondents for sharing your thoughts with us. So a big hand to the panel.
thank you too. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your wise words tonight, for your wholeheartedness and for your sense of urgency on these matters. So I want just to bring it quickly back to the start. Let's go out of this room and be the change we want to see in the Norwegian society.
If you can hold your horses or your feet 1 minute. My name is Ervin. I'm the managing director of the think tank Skaperkraft, who is partnering with Minotenk and initiatives of change today. I'll do this in Norwegian. The Imam Imamen har utfordret oss til å få mer kunnskap. 3 bøker å anbefale. Forsoningens tjeneste, Kunsten å forsones av Jens Wilhelmsen. En av mine forbilder på hvordan man som enkeltpersoner kan forsones med sine egne utfordringer, sin familie, men også bety en forskjell i sine lokalsamfunn og i verdenssamfunnet. 3 kontinenter har Jens Wilhelmsen jobbet på. En fantastisk spennende bok, den får du for 200 kroner her ved utgangen. Og så har vi i Tankesmien Skaperkraft gitt ut Gud er tilbake, religionens rolle i fremtiden, hvor kristne og muslimer og andre kjente samfunnsstemmer diskuterer religionens rolle i Norge i årene som kommer. Anbefaler den på den sterkeste. Og søstre, hvordan unge muslimske kvinner skaper sin egen frihet i Norge. Disse får du for 300 til sammen, eller 200 hver for seg, og denne får du for 200. Få mer kunnskap og ta utfordringen på å bli en forsoner, uansett hvilken tro du måtte ha. Så skal vi bygge et godt Norge for alle som bor her. Takk.